Hi guys, it's Mihiri here, and today I'm going to share with you guys a story of something that happened to me a few days ago. So at first I was debating whether I want to make this video or not, mainly because it's kind of embarrassing. But other than that, I just didn't want to be like super petty about it or anything like that, because to be honest, this situation is not that serious. This isn't somebody that I really cared about or anything like that. I think I'm very proud of the way I handled it and how I mentally processed through it, and 2 days later I am feeling so good about myself. So I felt like this incident had a pretty positive outcome, and I thought it might be beneficial to share with you. So to tell you guys what happened, so like the title of this video says, I kind of got stood up a little bit the other day, and I say kind of because it wasn't really like a planned date or anything. So basically this is what happened. So there's this guy at my work. He would come up to my office all the time, and we would just chat about our weekends and just like, you know, whatever is happening in our lives, and it was really nice. You know, it was somebody to talk to, and I enjoyed his visits. And I really didn't think too much into it, just because like even though he was pretty cute, I didn't feel like I really connected to his personality or anything like that. So I didn't really like think of him as like somebody I wanted to date or anything. So a few days ago, he comes up to my office and he tells me that he is putting in his 2 weeks. So he is going to quit. So I had known that he had wanted to get a raise and they weren't giving it to him. So I was kind of happy that, okay, so he's moving on to do different things. So I was like, okay, good for you. So in this conversation, it came up that my birthday is coming up, and it kind of got into the subject of like going out for drinks or something. And again, we were just chatting. It wasn't like we were making any kind of concrete plans or anything like that. So that was it. That was the conversation. It seemed like he's interested in seeing me outside of work. So, you know, why not see what's there? And I reached out to him through email at work, and I said, hey, just wanted to know when your last day is so I can buy you a goodbye drink. Or I think I said I wanted to see if I can take you out for lunch to say goodbye or something like that. So he said, sure, how about sometime later this week? So I said, what about Friday? And he responded to that, what about tomorrow? So I'm like, okay, all right, this guy's really trying to make this happen. So I said, okay, yeah, tomorrow sounds good. Here's my number. Why don't you text me after work and we can figure something out? So I sent that message and I had to go. So I didn't get a response, and I didn't wait for a response. So it was just kind of like up in the air, and we didn't have any concrete plans. So I get home, and around 6 o'clock, I have a phone call from my work, and I call back and it's actually him. So at this point, I'm like super impressed, because first of all, who calls people anymore? And I'm like, okay, like this is legit. Like he is really into me, or he really wants to make this happen. So I was kind of getting excited, like, okay, all right, I'm down. And so he calls me and he tells me that he's gonna get off at 6:45. I actually had somewhere to be at 8 o'clock that day. So I was like, okay, cool, I can meet you for about an hour. So I said I live 15 minutes away. Well, that was the conversation. And so, you know, I hop in the shower, you know, do my hair and get all cute, and I make my way back to work. Keep in mind that I do not have his cell phone number, so I don't really have a way to contact him. So I end up running a little bit late. I get there around, you know, 7:15, and I have no communication from him. He hasn't called or texted, nothing. And when I go to his office, the guy there tells me that he left. So I was just like, what the hell? Like, okay. And I was pretty devastated. Not because, you know, I liked him that much or I wanted to see him so badly, just because I felt so stupid. Like, I took the time to get ready and drive out there. So that's that. That's what happened pretty much. So the next day, I get into work and I decided, like, I'm not gonna let this go. Usually my plan of action would be just to ignore him, cut him off, you know. It's not like we had a lot of of a relationship beforehand. So I was like, okay, done, you know, whatever. But I was like, no, I want some kind of answers. I wanted to hear it from him. What the hell? So I give him a call, and I'm at work at this point, and I know he's there too. And I was like, hey, it's me, Harry. Like, what happened yesterday? And he goes, oh yeah, I left at 7. And I was like, okay, well, like, I'm so confused. Like, were we not supposed to meet up or something? And he was like, yeah, well, you said you were going to be there in 15 minutes. And I was like, no, I said I lived 15 minutes away. Which, okay, I see, okay, there was some kind of miscommunication there. Totally fine. You know, shit happens. Like, that is not a big deal. That's something I can totally forgive. And I said, but why didn't you call me or text me? Like, how do you know I wasn't in a ditch somewhere? And pretty much I said, you know, like, I'm your coworker. Like, give me the respect of sending a text saying you can't wait and that you have to go home. Again, where the discrepancy is that he had my number and he could have easily let me know that he was leaving, and that would have been it, and that would have been fine. And I was pretty much like, it sounds like you got upset that I didn't show up at the time that you thought I would, and you just decided to punish me for it. And he was like, yeah, I guess that's what happened. And I was like, you know what, that was really mean. And that was kind of the end of the conversation. So, you know, like, I'm totally fine about this now, but yeah, at the moment it was kind of like really, you know, I was a little bit sad that somebody would do something like that. So I wanted to share this story because I was really, really proud of myself for how I handled this whole scenario, and just mentally how I handled it. One, the fact that I addressed it with him and I said what I wanted to say to him, I felt really, really good about that. Even, and it helped that he had put in his 2 weeks, so I knew that I'm not gonna have to see him again after 2 weeks. So thank God he's leaving. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna take this opportunity to say what I want to say. First of all, what happened was I like really allowed myself to feel sad, even though in reality, like deep down inside, I wasn't really that sad, okay? If that makes any sense. I just wanted to be in this moment of like, oh my God, like, man, like I can't believe this happened to me. So I just wanted to like, just seep in this, you know, scenario. So I'm like driving home and I'm like blasting TLC's No Scrubs, and I'm like singing this at the top of my lungs. And at one point I like laughed out loud at the ridiculousness of what I was doing, but it just felt really, really good, even though it was so melodramatic. But it just felt so good to just scream it out, and just like I felt like with each song I was getting my power back. I don't know, it was just like this awakening, like, oh my God, like, Mihiri, you are like this boss ass person, like you are awesome. You do not need this lame ass almost unemployed person in your life. It just like made me really realize like I am way out of his league, and like obviously he has the emotional capacity of like a 10-year-old, and I felt so grateful for like the universe or whoever for showing me his true character before I had to spend even 1 minute with him. So it was kind of like a awesome blessing, because if that didn't happen, I would have, you know, gone to lunch with him. I would have spent my money to buy him a drink or something, and, you know, I wouldn't have seen this side of him until I had spent some more time with him. So I felt like, you know, somebody's looking out for me and just expedited this whole process so that I can see exactly the kind of person that he was. So, you know, in a way, I was like, this is really freaking awesome. And then today I woke up this morning and it was just like, it was so weird. I couldn't believe that this like really kind of unpleasant scenario boosted me to like Like I just like felt so awake and so sure of myself and who I am and my character and all of that. I just couldn't believe that like all of this came from like, you know, this like shitty situation. So it's just so funny how things work out. And really like I was kind of grateful because it was like an opportunity for me to really practice this, you know, my self-love and showing kindness to myself. I feel like I was pretty gentle with myself, and I you know, allowed myself to feel all the feels, and I felt it so much to a point where it became comical, but I didn't push it out. I didn't try to like ignore it. I actually felt it, and I feel really good about that. So thank you guys so much for listening to this little story slash rant, and I would love to hear from you guys if anything like this has ever happened to you and how you handled it and how you kind of processed it. And I hope you found this story to be helpful to you. Thank you so much for spending some time with me, and I will catch you next time. Bye bye.